Anthony Lloyd and his wife are the owners of the Fallowfields Hotel and Restaurant. Their business is over 20 years old, but it is always looking to improve. In 1993, it was a small bed and breakfast. But today, it is a 10-bedroom country house hotel. And its restaurant is one of the best in the area. Almost all the hotel's food comes from its own farm, where they grow their own vegetables and raise their own livestock. Fallowfields offers its customers a slice of traditional English life. But its marketing strategy is far from traditional.
Social media is my primary brand development tool. I have a presence out there in the world which is impossible to have achieved without social media. I, a small hotelier in Oxfordshire, am a global presence. That's an incredible thing, and it's an amazing benefit of social media.
Anthony noticed the benefits of social media marketing almost immediately.
When I first started in 2008, I measured all the business that I generated from Twitter, and in the first 18 months, that amounted to £150,000, so £100,000 a year. That convinced me that social media was well worth my while investing time in, and so I have expanded and extended my social media activities. I no longer count the pennies, but I know that it's contributing a significant amount to our bottom line.
Although Twitter is Anthony's preferred social media channel, he uses most social network sites.
I use Facebook because it's very familiar to a lot of people. It's quite pictorial, and again, that suits my range of business activities. It's quite interactive, and that suits my personal style. I use social media to engage with people. So Facebook is my second choice. So Pinterest I use because it's a very pictorial site. That suits the range of business activities that we do. But it's also very good for raising one's profile in the Google search engine rankings. But it's not very good for interaction and engagement. So I use it purely for Google reasons, search engine reasons.
Social media marketing isn't just a huge help to the Fallowfields brand, it also significantly reduces costs.
So, and what that has meant is that those thousands of pounds that I would have spent previously on developing my brand through the guidebooks, through various other promotions that used to be the way that hoteliers got business, are all just, the slate is wiped clean. It's just my time and effort, and that's all. That's actually a very satisfying process to be involved in.
Anthony uses social media whenever he can, and he's enjoying the benefits. He thinks all businesses should do the same.
The advice I would give to other small businesses is you really have to try social media. You must stop considering that it is too time consuming. You have to give it a trial to see if you can get benefit out of it. Because if you can, it's worth its weight in gold.
The Manhattan skyline is one of the most famous views in the world. But for over 80 years, one building has been the most famous in New York, the Empire State Building. It is an incredible feat of architecture, and it has been named as one of the 7 wonders of the modern world by the American Society of Civil Engineers. The Empire State Building is in Midtown Manhattan in New York City and takes its name from the nickname for New York State. It has stood at the intersection of 5th Avenue and 34th Street since 1931. The building is 381 meters high. With the radio tower at the top, it is actually 443 meters. It has 102 floors and was the first building in the world to have over 100 stories. It was designed by William F. Lamb, and construction of the building began on the 17th of March 1930. 3,400 men worked on the building. 5 workers died during the construction. The building, built in the Art Deco style, opened on the 1st of May 1931, 3 months ahead of schedule and $18 million under budget. For 40 years, it was the world's tallest building. In 1933, the building became a worldwide icon. The film King Kong ends with a famous scene on top of the Empire State Building. The building has always attracted tourists, and in 1976, the building welcomed its 50 millionth visitor. The Empire State Building is a symbol of both New York and the United States. It was ranked number 1 on the list of America's favorite architecture by the American Institute of Architects. The Empire State Building was an ambitious architectural project when it was first built. Today, it remains one of the most amazing buildings in the world.
What will life be like in the future? Where will we live? How will we travel? In the United Arab Emirates, they're building a new city that might answer some of these questions. Masdar is a walled city 17 kilometers from Abu Dhabi, the capital of the United Arab Emirates. British architects Foster and Partners designed the city, and the Abu Dhabi Future Energy Company is in charge of the Masdar project. They both believe the city shows us what life is likely to be like in the future. They say that the city will probably become a major business hub. It will have excellent amenities, state-of-the-art buildings, and integrated infrastructure. In fact, there are already several global institutes in the city. There's the International Renewable Energy Agency and the Masdar Institute of Science and Technology. The city's planners think that in the future, around 40,000 people may live in Masdar. Another 50,000 people will probably commute from other areas of the United Arab Emirates. Masdar is in a very hot location, but the city's design will keep it cool. The streets will be narrow, so they will funnel light breezes, and there will always be shade from the surrounding buildings. There probably won't be any cars either, so there won't be any heat from traffic pollution. Visitors to Mazda will have to leave their cars outside the city's walls and take public transport. They'll take the personal rapid transport system. This system will use small pods. People will get into a pod in one of the city's stations, choose their destination on a touchscreen, and travel along these magnetic tracks. The design will be safe, easy to use, and good for the environment. But most people will travel on foot. The city will be designed to encourage walking. There will be lots of stairs and there won't be many lifts. And because it is unlikely that there will be any cars, there will be lots of space for pedestrians. The city will be clean, green, and energy efficient. The Abu Dhabi Future Energy Company won't complete the project until after 2025, but they are sure the city will be a great place to work and to live.
Mercedes-Benz has always been one of the most powerful and respected brands in the automobile industry. So it's no surprise that the Mercedes-Benz Museum is one of the most fascinating museums in the world. It's got 9 levels, covers 16,500 square meters, and receives almost 1 million visitors every year. So it's bigger and busier than many other museums. Unusually, visitors start their tour at the top of the building and make their way downwards through the 7 legend rooms. These rooms tell the story of Mercedes-Benz and its parent company, Daimler AG. It begins with the invention of the motor car, when Carl Benz attached a piston engine to a horse-drawn carriage. You can see models of these early vehicles, and also one of the first purpose-built cars, the Mercedes Simplex. The Simplex was easier to handle than earlier prototype motor vehicles, and it is widely considered as the first automobile of the modern age. As you progress, you can see the development of the motor industry, as well as the rapid rise of one of the most recognizable brands in the world. There are Mercedes-Benz limousines, convertibles, roadsters, and this, the world-famous Mercedes-Benz 300 SL. When it was introduced in 1954, the 300 SL was faster than any other car in mass production at the time. With its unique design, it was very popular with sports car enthusiasts. Today, it is one of the most collectible cars in the world and can cost collectors over $1 million. The museum also houses an entire exhibition dedicated to the company's participation in motorsport. Here, visitors can see the current range of Mercedes-Benz sports car racing, rallying, and of course, Formula One models. There are also older, more traditional racing cars, and a lot of memorabilia. There are 5 collection galleries too, showing that Mercedes-Benz isn't just famous for its cars. The Gallery of Voyagers displays Mercedes-Benz passenger vehicles, The gallery of carriers shows Mercedes-Benz lorries and other industrial vehicles. The gallery of helpers has a collection of police cars, ambulances and fire engines. And the gallery of celebrities displays the many Mercedes-Benz cars owned by famous people. The museum also looks to the future. The Fascination of Technology exhibition displays some of the company's most cutting-edge technology and engineering. It offers an insight into the future of the entire car industry. Like all the best museums, the Mercedes-Benz Museum allows you to explore the past and glimpse the future. It does this in one of the most original, innovative, and stylish museums in the world.
People often say that quality never goes out of fashion. This could be the reason that Harris Tweed has been one of the most famous names in the British textile industry for over 150 years. Harris Tweed comes from the Outer Hebrides, a collection of islands off the northwest coast of Scotland. Due to the harsh climate and rugged landscape, this cloth has always had to be well made and durable. In the 1840s, the Isle of Harris first exported this quality cloth. It quickly became popular and the industry grew. But as demand soared, Harris Tweed needed to protect their brand. So they developed the Orb trademark. To receive this trademark, the tweed had to be dyed, hand-spun and hand-woven by people in the Outer Hebrides. These rules still apply today. There are now 3 mills that make Harris Tweed. The first rule is that they must use pure wool and nothing else. The second rule is that they must dye the wool. They mustn't dye the finished fabric. The wool is only dyed a few different colours. The mills have to blend these base colours to a specific recipe to make more complicated colours and shades. The weavers create the fabric and the patterns. They have to use old-style treadle looms and they must weave by hand. Only highly skilled weavers are allowed to make Harris Tweed. The Harris Tweed Authority then inspects the material. Once they're happy that it is high quality, they stamp it with the Orb trademark. This rigorous regulation and high standard of quality control is why Harris Tweed is still so popular. Today you can buy Harris Tweed jackets, bags and shoes. There are even Harris Tweed phone and iPod covers. Harris Tweed is a traditional brand that uses traditional methods. But its owners realise they can't look only to the past, and so in recent years, the company has modernised its marketing. This small industry, based on a remote Scottish island, is now selling fabric all over the world. Many clothing brands are now using Harris Tweed in their products, and the material is popular in America, Europe and Asia. Japan, which buys around 40% of the company's exports, is now Harris Tweed's biggest market. Thanks to this international demand, production has more than doubled in the last 3 years. The company now produces more than 1 million meters of cloth every year. Investment is also coming from overseas. In 2013, a major Chinese textile company became a shareholder in Callaway Mill, one of the last 3 Harris Tweed mills. Over the last 150 years, Harris Tweed has had to adapt to survive, but has always stayed true to its high standards of quality and authenticity. Now this traditional local business is succeeding on the world stage.
We all need water in order to live. But today, over 1 billion people haven't got access to clean water. Most people live near water, but it is often contaminated, and drinking it kills thousands of people every year. But what can we do? Is this problem simply too big to solve? Michael Pritchard doesn't think so. Michael is an inventor. On the 26th of December 2004, he was watching the news on television. He saw images of the devastating effects of the Indian Ocean earthquake and tsunami. In the days afterwards, he realized that the people who had survived the earthquake needed clean drinking water. Their water facilities had been destroyed, and it was impossible to send large quantities of drinking water in time. Michael thought that there had to be an easier way to provide clean, healthy water to areas that don't have safe drinking water.
Water is everywhere. And Mother Nature has her own way of getting water to people. They're called the clouds. They pick the water up from the sea for free. They take the salt out of it for free. They transport it hundreds of miles for free. And then they dump it on the mountains and the rivers and the streams. And where do people live? Near water.
He had been working on different ideas for months when he finally invented the Lifesaver water bottle. The secret to the Lifesaver water bottle is that it is very easy to use and it has a very powerful filter.
What the Lifesaver bottle allows people to do is take that water, put it in the bottle, give it a few pumps, and the bottle, just through filtration, very small holes, removes all of the bacteria and all of the viruses and makes the water sterile and safe to drink.
Michael travelled to Africa and witnessed his invention in action. It was a huge success, but Michael soon realised he needed a device that could filter even larger quantities of water. So he invented the Lifesaver jerry can.
The Lifesaver jerry can process up to 20,000 litres of water and is specifically designed to go into people's homes and to be used on an everyday basis.
The Lifesaver water bottle and the Lifesaver jerry can have helped people all over the world gain access to clean water. But water poverty is still a huge global problem.
We do many projects around the world to help people who do not have access to clean drinking water, whether that be in Malaysia or in Haiti, which is the image you see behind me, or in Pakistan or in India. We do lots of projects around the world to make sure that people have access to clean water, not just for a day or for a week, but for life. Lifesaver's mission is we are working to end water poverty. Everything that we do is geared around that.
There are many examples of rock stars who had traditional careers before becoming famous. Sting, solo artist and leader of rock band The Police, used to work as a primary school teacher. Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones used to work as a hospital porter, and Jack White of the White Stripes was an upholsterer. But there are not many examples of rock stars that go on to achieve success after their music careers have ended. Tallulah Gosh were an 80s indie pop band from Oxford in the UK. The band enjoyed local success, playing here at the Jericho Tavern, as well as briefly enjoying national success. They split in 1988, but since then many members of the band have enjoyed remarkable professional success outside of music. Peter Momchilov was the guitarist and one of the founding members of Tallulah Gosh. But what is he doing now?
I'm commissioning editor for academic philosophy books at Oxford University Press. I've been doing more or less this same job for 20 years. What I do is my job is to find the best works of original philosophical research in English and try to get them published by OUP rather than by someone else.
Another founding member and vocalist in the band is Amelia Fletcher.
She did 2 degrees in economics at Oxford and then went on to work as an economist for a consultancy in London, and then at the Office of Fair Trading, where she became very successful. She became chief economist at the Office of Fair Trading, a job which she did for about 5 or 10 years and has just recently given up. And she's actually now becoming an academic. She's taking up a professorship in competition economics this year.
Other band members were successful too.
Another singer in Tallulah Gosh, Ethna, has gone on to be a reviewer and a writer and a critic. So she's worked in the world of books. Another member has gone on to work in TV. He's been a producer of TV programs for 15 years or more now.
But perhaps the most famous band member now is Elizabeth Price, a vocalist in Tallulah Gosh who has successfully crossed over from music to the visual arts.
She studied art in the Ruskin School at Oxford, and she then went on to teach art in various universities, as well as being an artist herself. And last year she won the Turner Prize, so she's now a very successful and well-known artist.
The Turner Prize is a prestigious annual art prize presented to a British visual artist. Previous winners have included Damien Hirst and Tracy Emin. Elizabeth Price won the award in 2012 for her series of video installations. But was there ever a time when the members of Tallulah Gosh considered a full-time career in the music industry?
There were times when we wondered, the people I was in bands with, when the bands were doing well, we wondered whether we should try to go beyond doing it in our spare time. We certainly considered it, but we all had jobs which we liked, or we were students, so we were doing things which we didn't want to give up. And my personal view, after being in bands and observing bands for many years, is that it's much easier to enjoy it if it's not a job, if it's something you do in your spare time.
Lindt is one of the most famous chocolate companies in the world. They have made luxury Swiss chocolate for over 160 years. Today, Lindt chocolate can be found almost anywhere. there are dedicated Lindt shops which sell all kinds of Lindt products. There's dark chocolate, milk chocolate, and pralines, as well as exotic flavors such as coconut, chili, and mint. But how is all this chocolate made? This is the Lindt factory in Zurich, in Switzerland. Lindt's famous maîtres chocolatiers, or master chocolatiers, all work here. They are experts on chocolate and supervise the entire chocolate-making process. Their job begins with cocoa beans, which are selected according to their quality. Only the best are chosen, and these beans are then roasted. This is probably the most important part of the process, as it gives the beans their flavor. After the roasting, the beans are separated from their shells, leaving just the inner bean, or the nib. These nibs can be used in lots of recipes, and usually they are ground into a thick, creamy paste called chocolate liquor. At this stage, some other ingredients are added according to each particular recipe. These ingredients include cocoa butter, milk powder, sugar, and vanilla pods. Once the cocoa paste is ready, it is conched. This is a special mixing process and means that the cocoa butter is evenly distributed within the chocolate. It gives chocolate its smooth and creamy texture. The conch machine was invented by Rudolf Lindt. In 1879, he founded his own chocolate factory and quickly discovered that conching greatly improved the quality of his chocolate. This innovation contributed greatly to his company's success and to Swiss chocolate's fantastic reputation around the world. Once the chocolate has been conched, it is mixed and put into molds like this one. Sometimes, depending on the type of chocolate being made, other ingredients such as nuts, orange, or even crystallized rose leaves are added to the chocolate. Then the bars are ready. They are wrapped, packaged, and sold all over the world.
The New York Yankees, which is one of the most successful sports franchises in the world, is more than just a baseball team. It's a global business. Today, the Yankees are worth $2.3 billion. And they have an annual revenue of $471 million. The Yankees spend a lot of money too. In 2012, they spent over $230 million on their team. And they had the highest earning baseball player in history, Alex Rodriguez, who earned $30 million for the season. So how has a sports team become so wealthy? Well, baseball is incredibly popular in the United States. Millions of people play it in their spare time. And a lot of young people play it at school and at college. A lot of people also enjoy watching the sport, and most baseball fans support a professional baseball team. They watch their team on TV, they go to their games, and they even wear their clothing. This high demand means the teams that play baseball at the highest level have become global brands. And the team that has the strongest global brand is the New York Yankees. the Yankees have millions of fans. In 2009, they opened a new stadium, which is called Yankee Stadium, at a cost of $1.1 billion. The stadium has a capacity of over 50,000, and while the average ticket price is $64, the stadium is almost always full. In fact, the Yankees usually make around $300 million just from their ticket sales every year. These fans don't just come to watch the baseball either. Each game is a huge commercial event. There's lots of food, drink, and merchandise on offer, so fans usually spend more than just the ticket price. And as with most major sports, baseball attracts huge TV audiences. In 2009, over 19 million viewers watched the Yankees beat the Philadelphia Phillies to win the World Series. The Yankees even have a stake in a television network that earns them almost $200 million every year. Merchandise is another huge source of revenue. The Yankees logo is famous all over the world, and people spend a lot of money buying items such as baseball shirts and caps. The strength of the Yankees brand also attracts a lot of sponsorship from some of the world's best-known corporations. For most people, baseball is a sport. They enjoy playing it and watching it. But success in sport often leads to commercial success too. And for brands like the New York Yankees, baseball is big business.
Marks & Spencer has been one of the most famous retailers in the United Kingdom for over 125 years. Today, the supermarket has a turnover of over £9 billion and is a part of British life. But who were Marks & Spencer? Michael Marks was a businessman from Belarus, which at that time was part of the Russian Empire. Thomas Spencer was born in Skipton, Yorkshire. He worked as a cashier for a wholesale company. At the time, these men must have seemed like very unlikely business partners. But if they hadn't met, the entire history of British retail would have been very different. Michael Marks immigrated to England in 1882 and moved to Leeds. He met Isaac Dewhurst, a wholesaler operating from this warehouse, which is still called the Dewhurst Building today. Marks borrowed £5 from Dewhurst and established a market stall here at Kirkgate Market. The cheaper items were very popular, so Marks opened several penny bazaars, a shop where everything cost a penny. Marks needed to find a business partner to cope with his growing business. He asked Isaac Dewhurst, but he turned him down. If he hadn't, it would have been a very different story, because Dewhurst recommended his senior cashier instead, Tom Spencer. Spencer agreed to join him and invested £300 in the company. On the 28th of September 1894, Marks & Spencer was born. The partnership was an instant success, and by 1900, Marks & Spencer had expanded to include 36 penny bazaars and 12 high street stores. Throughout the 20th century, the business continued to grow. Today, there are over 700 Marks & Spencer stores in the United Kingdom, and 361 international stores in more than 40 countries. Marks & Spencer sells all kinds of things. They've got several lines of clothing for men, women, and children. They sell all kinds of food. And they even have their own bank and energy services. It's incredible to think that it all started here, on a small market stall in Leeds. Marks & Spencer are very proud of their history, and today you can visit the Marks & Spencer Heritage Stall. The stall, which looks like one of the original Marks & Spencer penny bazaars, is beside the market's famous Marks & Spencer clock. There's also a fantastic Marks & Spencer archive, where visitors can learn all about the iconic retailer's history. So, what became of the original Marks & Spencer? Well, Tom Spencer retired in 1903 to pursue his lifelong dream of becoming a farmer. Michael Marks became a British citizen in 1897. He continued to develop the business for the rest of his life. If it hadn't been for these two men, the British High Street would look a lot different today.